women in general are suffering from a collective trauma of unworthiness. And it's from our religious institutions, from our familial relationships, the culture, corporate culture. And so we're not even aware because it's just how we've been taught to be through all these different channels. And then one day you find yourself playing out the same toxic relationships in the workplace,
Mhm.
as you were trying to escape from home, and then you went into the nonprofit world, and it was a different kind of toxic relationship under an umbrella of being spiritual and religious.
Mhm.
And so this path of what does spirituality and divine purpose truly mean? How has that definition shifted for you over the years, or has it always been a one solid through line?
Mm. I think that's a yes and or a both and. It has shifted drastically and it's also stayed the same. And so the through line for me has since I was a little girl, there was always a desire and a yearning for me to know God. There was a desire and a yearning to be connected to God, and that when I was connected to God, I felt like I was on the right path. Like I was following what was correct for me at the time. And so I've always seen spirituality as being connected to a higher knowing
Mhm.
and being connected to love. And that was one thing that hadn't resonated with me my entire life in some of the communities that I grew up in was the idea of judgment, judging other people or making other people wrong for their choices. Judgment just never agreed with me because there was always a knowing that spirituality and being connected
Yeah.
to God or the universe means being connected to unconditional love. And so what's really shifted for me is I grew up learning that the way to connect to God is to learn about God, to read about God, to have other people tell you about God. And I also was taught not to trust my body, not to trust
Yeah.
myself, not to trust my wicked mind or my wicked body, and to trust in the words of other people and the guidance from other people. And so that was the biggest shift for me as I went on this quest of learning who I really am, learning how to connect to divine love, learning how to be fully authentically expressed, was understanding that one of the most spiritual practices that you can actually do is knowing yourself. When you remove the conditioning, when you remove the patterns, and ultimately when you stop outsourcing your authority to other people, because I think that's
Mhm.
actually one of the greatest effects of lack of worthiness is we start
Mhm.
outsourcing to others. And so when we come inward and learn how to trust ourselves, let me say that actually, when we learn how to know ourselves
Mhm.
and then trust ourselves, we can operate from our own inner authority. And
Mm.
that's what gives us access to divine power, divine intuition, to our creativity.